Hi, welcome to this week's online hour. We are almost done with this course, including this week. There are 3 weeks left. So that means we will have 2 more online hours after this one. Um, but this is probably going to be the most difficult one. The next 2 online hours will be review for the midterm. Okay, so let's get started. Um, for this week's online hour, we are going to continue reviewing the passive voice. So this is the passive voice. You should have a handout like this with 3 pages total. That is 6 exercises because it's front and back. Um, if you don't have it, you can print it here by clicking on Online Hour, the passive voice here in the blue on your screen. So the goal of this assignment is to help you learn how to use the passive voice. The passive voice differs from the active voice because it puts the object first instead of the subject first, right? This is done for a number of reasons, which you already reviewed in Online Hour, the passive voice. So let's give you some examples. And this time we're going to be doing different verb tenses, so I put some different verb tense examples here. So a past tense example is Lee Harvey Oswald killed President Kennedy in 1963. And you'll recognize this one from our first exercise. It says Lee Harvey Oswald killed President Kennedy in 1963. So this is the active voice. The passive voice would be President Kennedy. Oh, I put President Kenny. It should be President Kennedy. Let's fix that now. President Kennedy was killed in 1963 by Lee Harvey Oswald. And let me say that. All right, much better. So the person who killed was Lee Harvey Oswald, right? He was the one doing the action. And the person who had the action done to them was President Kennedy. So the subject is Lee Harvey Oswald, the verb is killed, and the object is President Kennedy. And let's annotate this one. So we have a subject, a verb, and an object. And remember, when we make the passive voice, we switch it. So we go object, verb. And then sometimes we include the subject, sometimes we don't even include the subject because the subject is not what is important. What is important is what action was done, right? Let me erase this. All right, let's look at a present perfect tense example. So in the present perfect, we have the mechanic has checked the tire pressure. This is the present perfect that we know, right? So we have the subject, the mechanic, the verb has checked, and the object, the tire pressure. Okay. When we make the passive voice, we will switch it. So instead of saying the subject first, we will start with the object first. So the object is the tire pressure. And the verb is has been checked. And you notice the verb form changes. It changes just a little bit. Every time we use the passive voice, we're going to add the verb to be. Okay. And that one is the example from the second page. On page 2, I'm sorry, this is page 6. We already did pages 1 through 4 last time. So this time we're doing pages 5 through 10. And on page 6, you'll see tire pressure check. And the example that I'm giving here is the answer to number 1 there. So you'll finish the rest of that. Then we have future tense. And if you're following along with your paper, you'll recognize this first one from number 1 on page 7. The future tense example is the school will provide only drinks. The passive voice example is only drinks will be provided. Again, we're following in the active voice, the subject, the school, the verb will provide, and the object is only the drinks, right? Only drinks. And then when we do the passive voice, we say only drinks will be provided. And we don't even say the school. Okay. Okie dokie. So I am going to move my screen a little bit. So I need to clear my notes. So make sure you've got that subject, verb, object. In the active voice, in the passive voice, we go object, verb, maybe we include the subject. Okay, I have to sort of delete everything to be able to move my screen. So now let's look at the negative example. The negative. And if you're following along with your piece, we are looking at page 8 now. Page 8 has the negative. The negative, the passive voice in the negative, it's the same thing. We're just going to include a not in there, right? So the active voice is the police are not going to put the boy in jail. So we've got the police, that is our subject. Our verb are not going to put, and the boy is our object. Now, when we make it passive, we keep our object, the boy, and we keep our verb going to be put in jail, right? But of course, we do have to adjust because now instead of are, we are using is because the police are the police. There are many people who are the police, right? The boy is just one boy, so is not going to be put in jail. Okay, and that is the answer to your first one here. And then we've got the question forms, right? The question example. How many people has the company hired? Or the passive voice, how many new people have been hired? So here, because it's a question, it gets turned around, right? So because it is a question, the company is the subject. The verb is kind of split. So it has hired, right? And we have to split the verb because we are moving the auxiliary over here because it's a question, and that's how you write a question. And then the object is up front because it's a question. So questions have a different format. So it's not going to be as easy with the questions, but you'll get it. We do lose the subject when we make the passive voice in a question. How many new people have been hired? You could say by the company, right? Okie dokie. So let me erase these examples. And of course, this is the example from number 1 on page 9. Page 10 is a mixed example. It's got active and passive voice, and you have to figure out which one you're supposed to use. You can kind of figure out that when the subject is first, it's followed by the verb, that's active voice, right? When the object is first, followed by the verb, then that's passive voice. And based on what I've received so far from the first part of the passive voice, you're all doing great. You're doing very, very well. So let's keep going. All right, so you're going to get your handouts out, of course. You should already have those. You're going to review the lesson. You're reviewing now, right? Now, what I need you to do next is I do need you to review this lesson. This is a very interesting review of the passive voice and the different forms of the passive voice. And it's kind of slowed down because it's not a video. You can read it. You can take your time reading it, right? The videos can sometimes go a little bit faster than we'd like. Then after you do that, you're going to practice the simple past. Remember, the simple past is on page 5 of your printed handout. So this is the first page, but at the bottom, you'll see the page numbers. Where are they? They're down here. This is page 5. You can look at it, do the exercise. Oh, how do we get the passive in the simple past? So I wrote the test. The test was written. I set the table was set, right? So you'll finish all of these and then you can check your answers and see if you got them right. If you didn't get them right, you can do them again. Oh, let me see the correct answers then. What happened here? Oh, I missed the punctuation marks. Okay, yeah. I know what I did. Okay, so we need to redo this one. So we're going to say The test was written. Yes, they want the period. The table was sent, period. They want complete sentences, right? Which makes sense. And there we go. Um, then we'll do more exercises, right? This one is a complete sentence. She sang a song. A song was sung by her. Somebody hit me. I was hit by someone, right? Somebody. You want to use the same, because it's a computer that's going to check it. You want to use the same language. We stopped the bus. Oh, the bus was stopped by us. And we're going to check the answers, and we got them right. Okay, and you'll do all of them. Then when you finish doing the past tense, you can do page 5 here, which is the first page, and you'll have a better feel to make sure that you're doing them correctly. Okay. Um, so I think I'll leave you to it. So you'll do the exercises with the present perfect, then you'll do the exercises with the future tense, then the mixed practice, right? And then you do your handouts. When you're done doing all of your handouts, you can turn them into me. You can upload a picture if you want to, but I actually prefer if you just give them to me in class. So I'll see you in class. Have a great online hour. Bye.